Welcome back, everybody. I'm sure that several of you saw one of my latest videos where I was firing some, experimental ammo. And not only did I blow up my magazine, I blew out a ton of parts from my bolt of my Remington 597. This is the rifle my dad got me when I was a kid, and I've got to figure out how to fix it. So what happened was I was getting some of this Ramset 22. This stuff is made for tools, and it says on the back these are not made for firearms, but I got me some super glue and some Gammo 22 caliber pellets, and I made these Frankenstein 22 rounds. Now, several of them fired. If you want to go back and watch the video, I'll tag it on this one, but several of them fired. They were not accurate. They were quite powerful, but the last one I fired just blew the magazine out of my rifle and blew pieces of the bolt all over my firing range. So let me show you what happened. When this round was fired, as you can see, it blew out the side of the rim there and just delivered a powerful blow to the magazine and the bolt itself, causing everything to break and fly to pieces. So let me show you the magazine first. This part of the mag was hanging out, and this piece here, the base, was blown away. The spring I had to find with a large magnet I use for magnet fishing. I had to drag it across the yard to find this. And the follower here, blown into three pieces. This was blasted out of the bottom with the spring as well as the base. Now, also, the charging handle was blown off. I was able to visually find this. It took a lot of searching, but I did find it. Now, these other two pieces I am amazed that I found. I had to use the magnet. I found the plunger and the extractor both. Amazing finds. I was able to find these small pieces. The magnet, of course, helped out a whole lot. Now, the spring that this plunger sits on is actually still in the bolt. Amazingly, that spring is still in there. So what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to reassemble this magazine. I'm going to try to glue together the pieces of the follower. I'm going to reassemble the mag. I'm going to put all these bolt pieces back into the Remington 597 bolt, and I'm going to do a time lapse of getting everything done. I'm going to leave out the cleaning part. I'm just going to do the disassembly and the reassembly and then the firing at the end. So thanks for watching. Let's get this going. The first step is to remove these two stock screws. I like to use my torque wrench from Wheeler for this kind of work. After these screws are removed, you can remove the action from the stock. The next step is to remove this retaining pin so you can remove the trigger group and all that. It just slides right out once that pin is gone. Next, we're going to remove the rods and springs and then take out the bolt itself. You'll need to remove these two screws on the back. These screws should come out pretty easy. Disassembling a Remington 597 really isn't that complicated. Here's what the screws look like. Next, we'll need to take out these rods and springs. You can do that by kind of working the bolt back and forth, and that'll kind of tease out these rods, and you can pull them out the rest of the way. Now, when you're pulling these out, be mindful of the spring that's inside. I mean, these springs aren't crazy powerful. They're not going to jump out at you, but just kind of fish them out after you get the rod out. So there's one, and now we'll take out the second rod and spring. After all that's out, we can remove the bolt. As you can see, this bolt's pretty dirty. This entire rifle needed a good deep cleaning anyway. But of course, I'm going to leave that cleaning part out and just get right to the reassembly. Let's start by reinserting this plunger. Now I'm using a pair of tweezers to kind of help me guide it in there. There's a groove here where the spring is inside, and I'm using the end with a little peg facing down so I can slide it right on top of that spring. There we are. Now for the fun part, the extractor. These can be a little bit tricky, but you got to set them on top of the plunger, kind of rock them back and forth at an angle, press down, and you'll get them to snap into place. There will be a lot of spring tension, so if you know why I'm using a clear plastic bag for attempt number 2, please comment below and let everybody know. It took forever to find these pieces in the carpet. After reassembly, everything seems to be working just fine. Time to reassemble it all and get out to the range. First, let's reinsert the bolt and slide it home. Next, we'll reinstall these springs and rods. I like to kind of feed the spring in first before I put the rod back through. After getting these parts back in, you just got to put your set screws back in the back here. You don't have to crank down on these really hard, just get them good and snug. Now let's slide the bolt back and forth a few times, looking good. Now this trigger goes back in and locks into place just as easy as it was to take it out. We'll set the action back into the stock, and we'll put both stock screws back on. Last but not least, this charging handle just snaps right into the bolt. I inspected everything off camera. Everything looks good. Everything's cleaned and polished. It's functioning well. Now it's time to reassemble this magazine. The hardest part is going to be gluing this follower back together. I looked for spare followers online and couldn't find anything. There is a chip missing on the back of this follower. Hopefully the rims of the cartridges will not get stuck on that, although it'll probably only affect the last round. After the glue dried, I tried inserting this follower and it did not want to go in there. It was still a little misshapen after being glued together, so I got my small files and just tried to reshape it to fit. Now you got to treat this work like a haircut. You can take a little bit more off, but you can't put any back on. After filing and polishing, I got this thing to fit just fine. The real question is, will it hold and feed the ammo, and will that last round stick on that little chip that's missing on the back of the follower? As you can see, it moves silky smooth. Let's get all the other pieces on and see if this thing will hold some ammo. Let's give it 5 rounds and see if they'll feed. So far so good. I think we're ready to test fire. Alright, we're set up out here at the backyard range. We're at about 50 yards. We have our reassembled rifle here with all the bolt pieces that we found. Got the magazine that we've repaired. I've got it loaded up with 10 rounds of this Norma TAC-22. So we're going to take a few shots, see if it cycles, see how this rifle performs. But before we pull the trigger, I'd like to show you our channel sponsors. Oh yeah. Now let's see if this rifle's accurate and if it can fire all 10 of those rounds. Now I'm sure some of you are thinking, you're hitting low, you're not hitting the bullseye. Well, I haven't zeroed this scope to this particular ammo, so what we're looking for is a grouping. And right now at 50 yards, this is grouping very, very well. I previously had this rifle zeroed for CCI Stingers, so that's probably why these are impacting a little bit low. I wanted to use a more standard velocity round for initial testing. Let's go see how tight this group really is. Alright guys, there you have it. We got a 50-yard group here. You can easily cover up with a quarter using a rebuilt magazine that got exploded. Had to glue that follower back together, but it functioned flawlessly, fed all 10 rounds. The bolt where we had to find all the little pieces out here in the field with a magnet, got the whole thing reassembled, put back together, and still getting excellent results from the Remington 597. So all wasn't lost from this accident, from this explosion, but I really appreciate you all watching. Please like and subscribe. Have yourselves a great day. We'll see you on the next one.